Edward John Espino, who went by Eddie, was born on April 3, 1977, to parents Ed and Irma Espino. He was described as one of the most positive and pleasant people you could meet. His 5 nephews adored him, and he treated them like they were his own children. His charisma only grew with age as he began performing in numerous theater productions during his junior year at Foy H. Moody High School. When he transferred to Mary Carroll High School, he continued in theater and graduated in 1995. He then turned his focus towards joining the United States Army. After being discharged, he moved to Dallas, Texas, where he enrolled and put himself through school at the Art Institute of Dallas, graduating with a degree in graphic design in 1997. It was at this point that Eddie decided it was time to return to his hometown of Corpus Christi, Texas. Once there, he immediately began working in graphics design, production, camera operation, and promotions, eventually collaborating with iHeartRadio. He began auditioning and landing roles in numerous theater plays. Over the next several years, he would frequently perform at Aurora Arts Theater and Harbor Playhouse in Corpus Christi in productions such as West Side Story, Rocky Horror, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Spring Awakening, and Altar Boys. At some point, Eddie took a trip to New York City with his childhood best friend and immediately fell in love with the place and decided to move. While there, he worked various jobs and even landed a few roles in some off-Broadway productions. After a few years, he moved back home once again. He then began a career acting in films and made his way into a few independent projects, such as Muerte Tales of Horror. He also tried creating his own film for the inaugural Corpus Christi 7-day film project. By the age of 47, Eddie had relocated to Austin, Texas, where he lived with a roommate. Sadly, the decision to move would prove to be the worst mistake of his life, and within a year, he would be dead. On March 16, 2025, at about 3:30 a.m., while Eddie was traveling northbound on I-35 near Baker Lane, an incident unfolded that left him fatally shot. Fellow motorists had no clue that he had been shot and was only reporting a stalled car on the interstate. Before the authorities could arrive, Eddie's Mitsubishi was hit by a Ford Bronco. When emergency responders arrived, they tried to save Eddie's life, but at 4:14 a.m., he was pronounced dead. Investigators quickly determined that the Bronco driver was not involved in the shooting and had simply been distracted. They also theorized that Eddie was most likely shot in a road rage incident. Investigators are now asking if anyone might have dash cam footage of the shooting or possibly witnessed the shooting to come forward. Unfortunately, this was during the South by Southwest Festival, which brings together creators and professionals in music, film and television, interactive technology, education, and more. Due to this, there was a lot of people from out of town that weekend, which should mean more potential for witnesses and dash cam footage. Anyone with information should contact the Austin Police Department at 512-974-TIPS. You can also submit a tip anonymously through the Capital Area Crime Stoppers program by visiting austincrimestoppers.org or calling 512-472-8477. A reward of up to $1,000 may be available for any information that leads to an arrest. Edward Espino was murdered on March 16, 2025, and as of November 2025, this case remains unsolved. Peggy Ann Wright was born in Terrell, Texas on August 2, 1941. For the past 15 years, 78-year-old Peggy lived on Farm to Market Road 148 in Crandall, Texas. She was described as a spunky, energetic, and generous individual who loved life. She was also a longtime devoted employee of over 48 years at Falcon Steel Mica Steelworks, where she served as a drafting assistant. On October 15, 2019, Peggy was getting ready to leave for her job when someone knocked on the door. When she answered it, there was a woman standing there pointing a pistol at her. The woman then forced her way in, demanding money. Peggy was then restrained to a chair so tight it cut into her skin. The woman then stole $200 before setting the house on fire and fleeing the scene. Thankfully, neighbors noticed the smoke and repeatedly entered the home trying to rescue Peggy. Ultimately, a passerby and a Crandall firefighter helped get her out. She was then transported to the hospital in guarded but stable condition. Peggy was thankfully able to give investigators a description of the woman, and a sketch was produced. It's unclear how the woman arrived at Peggy's house, but a truck was seen in the area. Strangely, Peggy was wearing all the jewelry she owned, but the woman never took any of it. Sadly, on April 28, 2020, after 6 months in the hospital, Peggy died from her injuries. The case was then upgraded to homicide. If you have any information about the murder of Peggy Wright, you're asked to call Kaufman County Crime Stoppers at 1-877-847-7522. Peggy was attacked on October 15, 2019, and as of November 2025, this case remains unsolved. Sonia Jimenez was born in Mexico in 1971 and later moved to Arkansas before finally settling in Texas, where she met and married Leandro Jimenez. Before marrying him, Sonia was the mother of a young daughter named Jessica Sabas from a previous relationship. She then gave birth to a second daughter named Danielle Italy on February 2, 2003. Sonia was known as a very loving and devoted mother. She enjoyed showing off her daughters and wearing high heels and dresses. Unfortunately, the marriage to Leandro was very tumultuous, and there were multiple documented cases of domestic violence. After ending their 13-year marriage, she and her daughters, 3-year-old Danielle and 15-year-old Jessica, moved into a trailer park in Pasadena, Texas. On the night of July 31, 2006, Sonia left her daughters at home while she visited a friend's apartment. Since Jessica was 15, she was left to babysit her younger sister Danielle. That night, Leandro strangely showed up, took Danielle, and left. Jessica had no clue what was going on and was unaware of the horrible tragedy that had unfolded a couple hours earlier. Sonia had gone to her friend's apartment on Bear Bayou Drive in Channelview, Texas, just outside of Houston. At around 8:30 p.m., she was attacked and stabbed. She was rushed to Memorial Hermann Hospital, where she was sadly pronounced dead. Harris County Sheriff deputies were then left with the task of informing Jessica of her mother's murder. Meanwhile, an arrest warrant was issued for Leandro. He was last seen driving a silver 2004 Chevrolet 1500 extended cab pickup truck with 22-inch chrome wheels with Texas license plate number 9NGH92. It's believed that he took Danielle and crossed into Mexico. 20 years later, neither Leandro nor Danielle has ever been found. Jessica is now married and lives west of Houston. To this day, a felony warrant remains active for Leandro Jimenez. He was born on September 24, 1967, and was 38 years old when Sonia was murdered and Danielle abducted. He stands about 5 foot 8 inches and might be living under a different name. Anyone with information concerning the homicide of Sonia Jimenez or information leading to the recovery of Danielle Jimenez, who, if still alive, would be 22 years old, and the apprehension of Leandro Jimenez, is asked to call the Harris County Sheriff's Office at 713-967-5810. To remain anonymous and possibly be eligible for a reward, call the Harris County Sheriff's Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Sonia Jimenez was murdered on July 31, 2006, and her daughter was kidnapped the same day. As of November 2025, this case remains unsolved. Stephen Arevalo was born on August 10, 1965, in Travis County, Texas. At the age of 30, Stephen was a beloved father of 2 young daughters and was estranged from his wife, Mary Ann. so he was staying at his mother's house along with other relatives on East 6th Street in Austin, Texas. When he wasn't working, he spent time with his family and could often be found hanging out in the shed behind his mother's house. He was also a skilled clay potter, creating beautiful art, and at one point was employed at Austin Clayworks Studio. At about 2 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, November 23, 1995, Stephen's brother and cousin dropped him off in the alley behind his home after a night out drinking. Shortly after, he apparently tried to call his estranged wife, but she never answered. A few hours later, a relative saw the shed light on and noticed a mid-1980s black GMC or Chevrolet pickup truck in the alley, but thought nothing of it, since Stephen often hung out there and the alley was sometimes busy. Around 6 a.m., Stephen's uncle found the back screen door open and discovered Stephen unconscious on the steps, bleeding from stab wounds. He had apparently tried to make it inside after being attacked. It was speculated that he had been robbed, but only an old, beat-up stereo had been taken. There was definitely signs of a struggle because things he typically kept in his pocket, such as his ID, were found scattered on the floor of the shed. Sadly, he was pronounced dead at the scene, and his death was ruled a homicide. Since his murder, his loved ones have struggled to continue celebrating Thanksgiving without him. Although forensic evidence was collected, it was mishandled and is now useless for testing. Sadly, his father and his wife passed away in 2023, and the home where he was murdered no longer stands. If you have any information about the murder of Stephen Arevalo, please contact Crime Stoppers at 512-472-TIPS or 8477. Stephen was murdered on Thanksgiving Day, 1995, and as of November 2025, this case remains unsolved. Thomas Charles Murray Jr. was born on November 23, 1987, the oldest of 4 boys, and went by TJ. At the age of 23, he lived in Spring, Texas, with 2 of his cousins and was a junior at Sam Houston State University, studying business and psychology. He grew up playing baseball and was also the umpire for a local Little League team, having gained a lot of experience as the oldest of 4 boys. On the night of October 19, 2011, TJ went out to a couple of bars with friends in South Montgomery County after umpiring a baseball game for Arevalo Little League. His first stop was at the On the Rocks bar on Sawdust Road. Around midnight, he called his father and said he would return his truck the next day. They spoke again about 30 minutes later. Sadly, that was the last time his father ever heard from his son again. After that last phone call, TJ was seen at Rookie's Sports Bar. At about 12:45 a.m., he got into an altercation with a female and was subsequently kicked out of the bar. The details of that altercation are unclear. His brother, James, had received a call about the altercation, with the person saying TJ was about to get into a fight and he needed to come get him. James and a friend rushed over there, but when they arrived, TJ was nowhere to be found. He knew immediately something was wrong, because TJ was always very responsible and would never drive drunk. He would have also made sure his dad's truck got back to him. But by the next morning, James and his father found it sitting in the parking lot of the first bar he had been to that evening. His cell phone was then located north of the 19th hole bar in a ditch on Barra Park Drive. Strangely, the back of the phone and the battery had been removed. Since TJ's disappearance, 2 of his 3 younger brothers, Samuel and William, died just 9 months apart. Sam died on August 4th, 2021, when he was playing video games with friends online and took something that had fentanyl in it. He died sitting up with the controller in his hands. 9 months later, his brother Will also passed away at age 21 in the Guadalupe River after taking a dare to see if he could hold his breath while swimming all the way across. He failed to make it and ultimately drowned. TJ stood 5 foot 6 inches with brown hair and blue eyes. He has previously broken his back and his knee. His loved ones believe there are people who know what happened to him but are refusing to talk. If anyone has any information regarding his disappearance, please call the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office at 936-760-5800. Thomas Charles Murray, Jr. went missing on October 20th, 2011, and as of November 2025, he remains missing, and this case remains unsolved.